We intend to offend. We will offend. And if you have a delicate sensibility, click the X button in the corner, or if you're on a Mac, the red button in the left corner. Monty, welcome to the show of offending people.
Well, it never happened and I make shit up. So for the last couple of weeks, everyone that has asked for a reading, apparently you're all from Scotland, from Hurley in Scotland. You all live the same lives. It's very metaphysical, because we're all one. And I can't read the Akashic Records. I don't even have a card.
Welcome to another adventure into comedy. If you have a serious stick up your ass, so far up your ass it's coming out of your tongue, this is not the show for you. If you are a light worker who is demanding farting unicorns, this is not the show for you. If you run around shooting glitter out of your ass as a love and light worker, this is also not the show for you. If you're one of those person that's so serious about spirituality that doesn't allow anyone to have fun because you're a spiritual Karen, fuck off. This ain't the show for you. Hit the X in the right corner if you're on a Windows computer, or on the left corner, you hit the red button. This is a comedy show. We are here and intending to take the piss out of everything. I am joined by my comical co-host, Monty Dean.
Could you say more words with C in them? No, that's okay. And
It's
same
okay.
to you, buddy. Yeah, we're having words in the car when we get it. Car park, my friend. Actually, here in Australia, there was a band that actually named their EP, You, Me, Car Park Now.
Right.
Still reliving that whole Roman thing.
Yes, we are also joined today by the fabulous, intrepid, mysterious man from Panama, Bruce MacDonald, author of several books. Welcome, Bruce.
Thank you for.
It's Costa Rica.
It's Costa Rican internet.
Costa Rica.
How you doing, Bruce?
Good, thank you.
So today we are intending to take the piss out of everything and anything. And once again, if you are in the audience and have a serious stick up your ass and demanding readings and everything spirituality, I'm asking you to turn off the computer. But if you want to, today we are taking subject matters. Go on to the chat room over here. If you are listening on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, or anywhere else and want to be a part of the conversation today, you have to be in the Zoom room. Robert, our producer, has all the information up on the screen. If you want to chitter chatter with everybody that's in the chat, give us ideas. And when we go to take callers in the second hour, want to be a caller, you must be in the Zoom room. All the information is there for you on the screen. And if you want to call in via a phone, all that information is there too. All right, Monty, Bruce, let's get started. Where do we want to aim the phallus of urine at first?
Well, thanks for that visual.
You're welcome.
Yes, Bruce?
Oh, you go first.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see. Well, Emperor Biden's up to 42 executive orders. And of course, during one of his interviews, only dictators use executive orders. So that's what I find funny about the whole thing is like Trump's gone, and so Biden's in, and Biden's doing more to wake up humanity than Trump did.
Yeah, it's the irony. Sleepy Joe is waking people up.
Yeah. He doesn't know where he is, but everyone else is learning where they are. Alexander Cortez, AOC. I just say AOC because she's got a really long name, and she's special, isn't she? Where like she thinks Ted Cruz wants her dead.
Well, she's yellow bus special or short bus special.
Mm. Yeah, it's coming out now. She wasn't even
in the Congress. Yes, I think we lost you there, Bruce.
Yeah,
I think you need to de-haunt your internet.
A lot of sage.
The short bus congressman.
or Congresswoman.
Congresswoman.
Yes. Yeah, fun times ahead. That's what I like. The whole part of the awakening was like, okay, let's just it's been 2.5 weeks, which feels like forever. that Trump energy is slowly, and there are people, Andrew, you'll I know this will make you laugh. There are people still clinging to almost trust the plan, and you cued them and everything else like that. Trump's coming back, and there'll be a new election in March or April, and all this horse shit. And I'm like, thank you, Sean. Who's Trump? He's like a guy.
One of those people that's still feeding the Q-Tardian nation is Juan O'Saving. You ever heard of this guy?
No, but it sounds like a joke name.
It is. His name is Juan, Juan, O''Savin. Juan O'Savin. He's apparently been around forever, and he's an insider that states a whole bunch of things. And he was recently on the Sean Stone show, on his little Sean Stone's little podcast, and it was all about what you just said. Trump never left office. If you look at the White House, the lights are not actually on. Has the vice president taken up office yet? And it was just the troops haven't left yet. And the truth is, the troops have left yet. People are driving up and down the streets all the time there. Yeah, they're still promoting the rigid fallacy that Trump never left.
Yeah, because Emperor Biden is at Castle Rock in California in the Oval Office they use for film and TV.
Yep.
And it's filming all that. And I do find it interesting where this is where like one person says it and then 80,000 people say it, and then it reinforces the, dare I say, lie, but the idea. And it's like, well, that's why I lovingly say I saw The Last Jedi, so I know how about trust the plan. It's like, tell me the plan.
Yes, tell me the plan. Exactly. Without you telling me the plan, I'm not going to be even given an ounce of thought.
I mean, this is my issue with my higher self. Tell me the plan. It's like, no, I'm not. Yes, you bloody will. So
yeah, and then we've got all the lawsuits that are going against the Trump lawyers. And then Lynn Wood, the person that put out those warnings that it's going to take 10 days of darkness, get your food, put it all over Twitter. She's gone religious. She's using the Jesus defense.
Oh, very nice, Robert. Straight off the mark there.
Yeah. And, we've got so many people that are deep throating the opium pipe now. It's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, well yeah, and they try to start their own little hopium as a buzzword. They try to do copium, a bit of cope. People are trying to cope, but that slang word didn't take off because the left can't meme, basically. So you need to cope. It's like, shut up.
Exactly, shut up. Let us go through the 5 stages of denial.
Yeah, we want unity, but we still hate you. Do you want to look up the word unity? I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, we have to set one thing. The Karens and the Kens on the right went too far, to the point they poked the left-wing social justice bear in the balls that it got up and said, "Give me a gun." You gotta put square blame on the right-wing Karens and Kens. Robert, can you unmute Bruce?
The power of mute compels you.
The power of unmute.
Here we come, mute.
Yeah.
There we are.
Yeah.
Modern technology, nothing works.
Yeah, the video kind of like puts a strain on my internet. Let me give you a visual. It would be kind of like giving your 400-pound girlfriend a ride up the mountain on a 125cc Yamaha.
Ooh.
I might be able to get there, but it's going to be a bumpy ride.
Yeah.
All right.
Faith.
Mark the time. Mark the time on that joke, Monty. That's the new watermark for this show.
Well, it's much higher than what I've been doing. So.
Oh, yeah, no, I can't get a handle on what's going on there in Washington. So basically, I'm on a news fast. I don't read news stories. I mean, if something really crosses my attention, 3 or 4 times I'll give it a glance, but I've just decided to kind of do a little bit of a news fast for the last few months. So I find it very peaceful. Now, mind you, where I'm living adds to that, right? I mean, you can't really avoid it in the city. You know, you're going to find a newspaper beside you on the subway car seat or something like that. But up here, you can avoid almost anything you want.
Oh, well, yeah, like humanity.
Except your wife.
Yeah, if you take your wife with you. Now,
There's my accountability right there.
Speaking in news, have you found it? This is reported by Variety, which is an entertainment magazine on the entertainment industry. CNN in the first week of the Biden administration dropped 44% in ratings.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Fox News dropped even worse. They're fourth. They're the worst of the things. And CNN and Newsmax, all that. It's horrible now for them.
Good. No, I don't care who it is. I'm just glad that it's quite. Yeah, you can see. I think a lot of people are fasting from news.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, whatever.
Robert, our producer, the fastest memer in the West.
Man, that's fast.
Yeah.
And so, it's so weird to see the global narrative trying to do it. It just reinforces what David Icke says. We're ruled by psychopaths and run by idiots. And I think the psychopaths are like, yeah, let's just not go near the idiots for a while.
Yeah.
They still believe they're not idiots. The psychopaths are in their own little zone. They will do exactly what I want. And the idiot's like, sure, whatever you want.
Oh, yeah, I figured out that certain psychopaths are high-functioning idiots.
Yes, they're very high-functioning idiots.
I'm so much better than everyone else, clearly. So, yeah.
Let's take away your maid and see how things are.
Yeah. Oh, I lost billions of dollars in a hedge fund. I mean, I was halfway through renovating my $44 million. Why would someone think of the billionaires? Someone think of the billionaires.
Well, that actually happened on CNBC.
Mm-hmm.
That actually happened. The poor billionaire whining about his billions that he lost.
Yeah, because parody and satire is very hard to find or define nowadays, where the prime creator writes the best jokes. Where it's like it's very hard for comedians to get anywhere now because reality's taking half our work.
Now, there's a topic, Monty. What is going on with comedy in the last few years? Why has nobody stepped up to really just ride this Bronco? Everybody's sort of punking out. All the late night guys are just doing the left-wing liberal jokes. There's nobody in the middle. There's nothing funny about Trump's 4 years except Trump himself.
There's only two guys that have even tried, and that's Dave Chappelle and Bill Burr. Okay, and Ricky Gervais comes in a close third. He attacked the wokedom left and right, and then Kevin Hart, other than some of the stuff he did, but those are the only comedians that even tried.
So you're talking about Chappelle's Netflix special?
That and some of the other stuff he's done on the side, where he was at a broadcast to a whole bunch of drive-in theaters at once. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Smart guy. Good management.
He did some shows at his place in Ohio, and everyone's 8 feet apart at little tables, and so it was like a big it was like a hermit barbecue.
Yes.
They were there for the barbecue, but just stay the fuck away from everybody. Just go over there. In England, there is a sort of a wave of anti-woke as well. If you know the Twitter account, Tidiana McGrath, she's a parody site completely made up by Andrew Doyle, and JP is doing the work as well, and Andrew Doyle's he's not right wing at all. He's more left, but he's actually against the extreme left woke PC culture where it's destroying everything. And over the last 5 years, the comedians can't break through because of the cancer culture and the controlling mechanism of Hollywood. Where Hannah Gatsby, she's good at what she does, but she's not Jesus. And it's like her special Nanette or whatever it was, where the last 15 minutes she's basically having a therapy session, which is it's her show. Why not? But it's when it's like most comics don't really care about the actual product. It's the response to it, where it was like, this is a new wave of comedy. It's deconstructing it. It's not about getting laughs. It's making a point. Oh, that's spoken word, you fuckwit.
Yeah.
It's not actual comedy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beat literary jazz stuff. Jack Kerouac.
Yeah.
Henry Rollins. I used to, a guy who I can't, getting a handle on this guy comedically is like trying to get your hands around a 10-pound catfish when it's just landed on the bottom of the aluminum boat, is Bill Maher. I mean, that guy literally, that guy got me through the Bush, Cheney, Rumsfeld years, and now I just want to push him over a bridge. Like, I don't know how it turned that quickly, but
he's like a good drinking buddy that when you stop drinking, you can't be around him.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I know what that's like.
Well, suddenly when you're sober, like, this guy's awful.
Yeah. I'm gonna stop smoking weed. All you people are idiots. So yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what Bill Maher did for me. But I mean, he's just going to the fur. Yeah, exactly. He was just doing his job. And I can't take anything about this Biden administration seriously. President who? President what? I mean, it just, and this is the prevailing mood I have, is that, there's a vacancy. So how do all these little details add up? Like the lights off in the White House, the flag not flying atop the White House, the concentration
you have to be a full-fledged Q-tard to make those associations through apophysis.
Okay, so but like, what's going on? Did they not? Did Trump not pay the electrical bill? Like, what's going on?
Apparently, because of Wano Saban is saying the lights aren't on, meaning there's nobody in there, and if the light is on in the office or not, it tells the world if the White House is functioning or not.
Yeah,
I just think the lights are off so Joe can sleep better, because he can't sleep with a nightlight.
Yeah.
Then they're trying to say the troops have never left. Yeah, they did. Yes, they did.
Yeah, the fence is still up though, isn't it?
Yeah, the fence will stay up for a little while longer. Big deal.
Oh yeah, I think apparently it's because of the impeachment trial. They don't want repercussions, which kind of makes sense.
Exactly. That's a great deterrent to again. This is a comedy show, to the Q-tards that have gone so far down that flat earthers are laughing at them now.
Oh, someone shared on Twitter, the FBI has been going through the people that got into the Capitol building, and there's a photo of the Q shaman, and there's a guy next to him wearing a blue mask, and he was the subject of the paragraphs. But the photo they used was actually a joke one, because the painting behind them, it wasn't some git from the 1700s. It was a big black man naked, and somehow they got into an FBI report. It's like, I can't take you people serious. I mean, the FBI can't, I can't take them serious anyway. But it was like, really, this is how wobbly reality is at the moment. Like, let's rip apart, strangely enough, the division where, I mean, I can, it's so easy now to attack Democrats because they've got this whole democratic delusion. Now, before Andrew steps in and says, yeah, but what about the right? It's like, well, we know about the right. We've known about the right for years.
They're both equally delusional.
Yeah, I know. What I'm saying is, and also you can see how the Republican Party is just imploding because people are like, you didn't do what you said you'd do. You suck. And then you got the Democrats just democrating. It's gloatocrating. Gloatocrating. It's like, people are trying to kill me. Like,
how many more times are you going to spike the ball in front of the Republicans and then say we got to work together as you're spiking the ball in front of them?
Yeah, it's punching your wife in the face for 4 years and say, why do you want a divorce? And then keep punching them.
Exactly.
Stop punching yourself. Stop punching yourself. Stop punching.
So Wano Saving and a variety of other Q-tardians believe April 1st is the next date now, even though it was March 4th a few weeks ago. So April 1st is the new date now, where they say it'll be revealed, etc., etc., etc. Even though he uses the caveat now that it may not happen.
Oh yeah, I noticed that it may happen. There's a bit of doubt now because nothing's happened up until this point. And I just had that connection of like, how you said the global narrative will kick the can down the road. Well, the Q-tards are definitely doing that. Oh no, remember the Simpson episode where the turkey Lisa becomes a vegetarian and the turkey's flying through the air. It's still good. It's still good. It's like every time it's still good. This date, then that date passes. No, it's still good. We went through this. You've been doing it since 2012, but most of the audience, we've gone through the whole date thing of like, I've survived 15 apocalypses in this century alone. After 10, you get the last one free.
Good one.
Exactly. And the irony, you could go back to shows that I did in 2016, 2017, 2018, saying that Trump is going to be a one-termer president, or the few times that I said potentially he's not going to be a one-term president, it's still his election to lose. And Monty, we go to the lead up to the election shows. What was I saying?
I can't remember. Time traveler. But yeah, you're basically like, the corporations don't want him in because
Right.
he was a catalyst. And even that's what I mean, like him removing him out of the story is still a catalyst. And that's what sort of pissing them off. And because have you noticed, I think Bruce, I listened to one of your shows somehow because it definitely wasn't when it was live because it's 2 o'clock in the morning.
Tough hour for you, Monty.
Yeah. I registered something. But Trump's gone quiet. Like, I've only seen a 30-second video of him coming out of his house, which is a large house, and tipping someone and then walked off. Like I think he's enjoying the holiday. It's like, yeah, Joe can figure all this shit out. I'm just gonna go back to my gold room with my.
I think he's kicking Melina's dog in the corner. I should have never lost. Why didn't I take COVID seriously?
I like the idea of him just going, whatever.
So it leaves the question: what were his 4 years about? What did he do, if anything, other than just, cut 4 years out of the political timeline, which are now going to disappear down a wormhole? Because it's like it's fall of 2016 all over again. I'm confused about what bathroom to go into.
He woke up a lot of people politically.
Yeah.
Even by winning, everyone's like, well, hang on, how did this happen? And so there's three people love him, people hate him, then there's the rest of us in the middle going, and he was like you were mentioning about the late night comedians where after 4 years of Orange Man bad, even people that hate Trump are going, can you find a new joke please? Because it's just not funny at all. It's that whole Dolores Cannon splitting thing.
Yeah.
So I think by Trump being a catalyst in that respect, there's that energetic divide. And of course, in a way, how Andrew points out about Q-tards and the right wing is it's not left or right, blue or red. It's more of critical thinking and brainwashing, where Trump's like a cult. Well, the Democrats are also like a cult because they think they're doing the right thing as they burn your house down. There's that sort of humanity and corporations. Humanity versus profit type thing.
Radicalized individuals who use nationalism and patriotism as their validation for radicalization. Doesn't matter what side you're on.
Yeah. And it's interesting, like, a lot of people, I'm a gay person. And I'm at that point of like, and continue.
Now what?
The sense.
Great. You're gay. Now what?
Yeah.
I'm not judging you about it. Don't call me a racist because I didn't judge you.
Yeah, or a bigot, or all that type of thing. Someone actually, a lady was mentioning like men do not need to open doors for women because apparently you think that women are weak and should be subservient. And someone responded like, "No, open the door because I'm a gentleman." And I actually said, "I open the door for anyone who's following me. I treat humans as humans." Go figure.
Right. Same here. Human as humans.
Yeah, I don't care. Like, oh, sorry, you're a guy. I don't have potentiality to have sex with you. I'm not leaving the door open for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like good manners. That's just basically getting the way you want through being polite.
So I've whiplashed the Q-tards for a while here, and now I want to focus on a different aspect that's more towards the other side, and it's the left woke comedians. Now, we were talking about that before Bruce brought it up. We really have got to go back to the year Jon Stewart Daily Show retired and passed it over to Trevor Noah.
Oh.
That is when the majority of the late night comedians became full left supporters. Now, I will give Jon Stewart credit. He would regularly go and attack the Fox News people, but he would at times still validate them as news people. Okay? The thing is, he was such a brilliant genius when it came to Bush Cheney era. I mean, Cheney shot a guy in the face and made the guy he shot in the face say "I'm sorry" live on air. Okay, come on,
that doesn't sound mafia at all.
Not at all. Okay, made the guy apologize to him.
In his defense, it was only bird pellet.
Yes, short range bird pellet, but it set up the left comedians to come off of stage and become political pundits.
Yeah.
Who then had 8 years of Obama and 4 years of Trump. So we've had 12 years of woke left comedy to the point I can't stand it anymore. Like the Bill Maher, like a variety of the other ones. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, it's interesting that the Biden administration has been that intense that Jon Stewart has come back to Twitter.
Yes,
because it's like you just need because he's done great work, from my understanding, for the first responders of 9/11, and like he's been retired 15 years or whatever. Because I can't remember, I don't know what he's done after he left the Daily Show.
Nothing. He went with his wife and has a animal petting farm with like 6 goats, cats, chickens, horses, everything. That's all he's doing.
Yeah, I think he's got a couple of kids. So he did like the Rick Moranis. It was like, I've got enough money. I've done the work, because he did it like for 10, 15 years.
20. He was the original. Before it was even Daily Show, it had another name and he took it over.
There you go. And so he's gone, well, I'll just, like with Rick Moranis. Unfortunately, Rick Moranis' wife passed away. And then he said, I'll do the right thing for kids. And that's why he disappeared for 20 years. He just like, no, I'm being a family man. It does help, obviously, when you're successful and have millions in the bank. It's not like he's struggling for work, like me. However, it's...
Monty, how are you with him? How are you with a machete?
I could probably cut my toe off very quickly.
I got all the work you can handle, but no medical.
Me no speak español.
yeah.
That's the only barrier I has, apart from I can't get there, is I don't speak Spanish. And if I do, I will do it in an Australian accent and piss everyone off. El momento, por favor. Oh, what is he saying?
Yeah, the first world, and there's another interesting dichotomy I notice is between what we'll call, and I'm not even sure these terms apply anymore. I think Deng Xiaoping, Mao's successor, coined them, but first, second, and third world. But the first world seems to be getting really punished now, and the second and third world, it's doing a little bit better. Like unless
you're in India.
Well, India is all 3 in 1. I mean, there's parts of New Delhi that's first world, and then India is like 100 countries in one,
right?
At least 100.
You have the farmers' rebellion going on now. Did you know about that?
Is that with Greta Thunberg as well?
No. The farmers' rebellion in India is the local farmers. The Indian president, I forgot what his name is, passed a law that basically made corporate agriculture setting the prices of stuff, and all the local farmers from all over the country, even while they're in lockdown, are getting out and marching in the streets so bad that they shut down the internet so it couldn't go around anymore, and none of the videos can get it. We're talking millions of farmers in the streets with their donkeys and their little palm leaf whips.
Yeah, and interesting enough, Greta Thunberg tweeted something about that, and apparently, allegedly, Air Bunny, she's going to be investigated by India for conspiracy.
Well, anything. Well, India's cracking down on any information getting out right now, because it has reached a point where, because India is not a unified country, it really isn't. It's like Bruce had said, it's hundreds of countries put into one. It has 400 political parties in it. And there's quite a possibility that the political parties in the north are going to tell Modi, no, send the military. Guess what? The military you have here, they're our guys.
And there's only one unifying factor in India, and that's the English language. And so you got to give props to the British Empire. If they could control India for that long, and then a man with a nappy turned up and said, "Don't do this," and they gave it up, and it's been going so well ever since.
There is a second unifying factor in India, and it's called cricket.
Yeah. Well, that's very cricket, English, of course.
Cricket is very much a unifying factor in India.
Well, I would say, based on what I know of India, I would say that this is just going to add fuel to the fire of the Sikh secessionist movement. So
Absolutely.
So Punjab is going to peel right off, which is one of their biggest provinces. And it's not Hindu, by the way. This is the interesting thing about Punjab. This is where you get into the whole Sikh religion, which is entirely different than Hinduism. And of course, they've got their political history. And when Indira Gandhi ordered the raid on the Golden Temple, her Sikh bodyguards killed her on the spot, right? And that's what started all the rioting and the Sikh emigration, which is why there are Sikhs in Canada and the United States now. So that's going to throw fuel on the fire of secession, which brings up another interesting point. You know, the public game plan has been nationalism as a stepping stone to regionalism through free trade. And then just when Trump came along, they were getting ready to go from regionalism to globalism. All the documents are out there, Trans-Pacific Partnership, all of these sorts of things, tying it all together. But what's happening on the ground now is everything is, rather than becoming one, it's like it's breaking up. Like I can even see the US breaking up. What do you guys think of that?
The US won't break up. It's constitutionally impossible for it. And the corporations are too well entwined, as well as the partnerships and agreements through the militaries will absolutely prevent the United States from being secessionist. That's preppers' hot, wet dreams, as bad as the Q-tards.
Okay.
In my view.
Not even Texas?
Not even Texas. It's constitutionally impossible.
Okay. Then why do they have to sign every 2 years to stay into the Union?
No, there's a federal restriction after the 1864 Reconstruction Act that Texas was a part of. Texas just thinks they want their people, just like Trump wanted the people to believe it was a stolen election, whether it was or wasn't, doesn't matter. He promoted it as that. And Texas has been continued to put this idea forth that they can succeed, when in fact they can't.
Yeah.
Look at your Reconstruction Acts of 1865. Done. Texas signed it.
Yeah, that Andrew's talking to all the Americans. Bruce is Canadian and I'm Australian, so we don't care.
Yeah.
I care a little bit, Monty.
Yeah, well, you're close to them, so I mean, yeah, they
care a little
technically bit. Just a tad, just a little. Being Australian,
I care as much as if Baskin Robbins went from 33 to 32 flavors. That's how much I care.
No, so that's still caring.
I just want to touch on that thing that they have to sign every 2 years is determine if they're going to make a second House of Representatives for the politically minded people who will have Bureau of Land Management territory and secede as a land management. But the land management rules change in 1865 Reconstruction Act. And all that does, it says we are staying into the Constitution by affirming we're having one government. The Texas secessionist movement is about creating a second government within the government.
Here's a question for you guys, Monty and Andrew. What would globalization do for our transdimensional relationships? What
What version?
Would it consolidate one party?
As long
You
as there's the corruption at the level of we have right now, we will just become free range cattle with a higher harvest rate.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've sort of explained on Planet Collingwood Wednesdays at 2 a.m. on Revolution Radio, Studio A, just learning to do that more, is that naturally we'll get to the point we can have globalism if it's done naturally. What's being forced upon us is unnatural, and it's still got a controlling group at the top. And so when you say globalism, what the globalism they want, which is very 1984, that won't work because they'll just eat on each other, and there's too much corruption across the board. If it was done naturally, where if everyone's self-sustaining, and then I like to buy an Australian car, or I like the American, if you've got choice instead of this whole everyone is dependent on everyone else, then obviously, well, dare I say, if you have natural unity that actually works without corruption, I think the universe will probably like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we can't say we live in boring times.
What is the ancient Chinese curse? May you live in interesting times.
We're cursed.
That's right. We are living in the interesting times.
Yeah, I shared it.
Gran maldición.
Yeah, I shared a meme. I'm tired of living through a historical event. It's getting tiring.
Yeah. And this is your first incarnation since you were crushed by a big rock building the Great Wall of China. So you're tired of these big projects. I get it.
I was in World War One, and then I was like, "Fuck that! I'll skip a lot. I'll skip the 20th century."
Could you imagine coming to causal awareness, the Great Wall, and now this shit? What the hell?
Exactly.
Who's planning this? Do I have a say?
It's like, fuck it.
Who put the lizards in charge? Weren't they the bad guys?
Look, I remember I did great work on the pyramids 10,000 years ago, but what the fuck, man?
Yeah, this union sucks.
Exactly.
I'm not paying my dues anymore. F Hoffa.
See, I'm waiting for Q-Tart. Hoffa's not dead. See, I found a conspiracy we can bring out. Hoffa's not dead. He's just on an island controlling everything.
I think it would have gone by natural causes by now.
Yeah. I want to thank Alan in the chat room saying, "This is worse than my many lives of dying of dysentery."
Oh, that cholera. We're back on India again?
Well, actually, the interesting thing, like going back into the Qdom, there was a rumor, right, that Biden and Trump did the whole face-off, John Travolta, Nick Cage thing, where they changed faces.
Yeah.
Apart from that, Joe Biden could fit into Donald Trump as a robot, like Robotech. But the kicker is, and I made Andrew laugh with this, the operation was performed by Joseph Mengele. Yeah. Yep. He would have been 107 years old to do that.
I think he's privy to that anti-aging technology. I hear he maintains an appearance of about 55.
Well, yeah, those wacky Nazis. I think the Nazis are giggling all the way to the bank in the South Pole. It's like, now apparently if you don't agree with anyone, you call a Nazi.
Be careful now, Monty. I sell my a.w.a. to the Germans. They're fine people to do business with.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm part Polish, so I love Deutschland. I actually call it Deutschland, and even Germans are going, "Why are you calling it that?" Well, to me, also, Hitler's Austrian. Sorry, Austria, but there's a reason he left. So I do find it interesting in the history, like the 20th century, Germany and Russia seem to be the big enemies, and I'm not talking about Stalin and Hitler. Even before that, like World War One, it's Germans' fault. It's like, what? We turned up 18 months after this shit started. What the hell?
Well, the irony is, it's both of them had major economic issues. Obviously, you saw Russia fall in the 90s, the late 80s and the 90s, et cetera, et cetera. But look where they're at now.
Yeah.
Look where they're at now. They have
That-
a booming industry that yes is run by criminal oligarchs, okay, but it works. It
Yeah.
thrives and works for them. They have figured out how to make their corruption effective enough that allows innovation for their people.
So what you're
Yeah.
saying is that North American corruption shithouse.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Because
There
they
you
don't
go.
admit it.
Right.
Everywhere else there's corruption, they come right out and tell you. When I lived in Taiwan, anything you want, okay, it's this much. Really? I was in my 20s back then, just finished a journalism degree, and shocked every time I was greeted by corruption. Now I'm shocked every time I don't encounter it in Costa Rica. I want the 50% corruption discount. Why do I have to pay the actual fee to the federal government? Don't you have any clout in this municipality?
I always find it funny when you tell the stories about people that are on the side of the road haggling with the tickets.
Oh yeah. You can drive half of my family, like my brothers-in-law and my cousins in their 20s and 30s, they all drive without licenses. And when they get pulled over, they just give the cop $20. These cops, half their salary is just roadside bribes. We call them trafficos. And there's a lot going on down in the highway at the base of my mountain. They're extending it from 2 lanes to 4 lanes. It's a Chinese company that's doing it, and they brought all their own labor and all their own materials. And word on the street is they're using prison labor. So this is a real little interesting place to be, to watch things going on. But corruption works. It worked in Taiwan. It works here. The only time it doesn't work is when you're doing it big time and you pretend you're not. Right? As soon as you get into the windowless room, speak openly. Don't keep everything in euphemisms and riddles and metaphors and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
Well, it's like
the common Russian citizen knows it's corrupt, but they also know that they can still get around it and innovate through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So another little quick one, Monty. My 2 brothers are here. My 2 Nicaraguan brothers came with their wives and their 1-year-old children. 2-day journey from Managua to the south of Costa Rica, and it cost them about $500 in bribes, because they don't have passports, they don't have anything. So every checkpoint they went through, it was like $50. And so I felt obliged to pay them back. I did. But they got hosed, right? But they walked across an international border without passports. I mean, just
That's
think
ballsy.
about that for a
That's
second.
ballsy.
Yeah. And they'll be here for about 4 or 5 months. The way we're treating them now, I don't think they'll ever leave. We'll just get them their cedulas and they'll live it out here in Costa Rica.
Just plant some more abaca.
Yeah.
I got 40 hectares, and I'm open to any ideas if there's anyone listening to this broadcast who wants to invest in 40 hectares. And I'm waiting for the legislature to rule on hemp. That would be my preferred plant to grow now. Very easy.
I like the story you have, Bruce, about getting Nighthawk from Revolution Radio seed pack, and then at the end of the paragraph, I have 52 tons of pineapple. It's like, I should open a transport business or something. It's like, I planted everything. I have way too much guava.
Yeah. I got everything. I found a new fruit yesterday just walking with my wife. She pulled it. It's the best. It's like Godiva chocolate made of fruit. I kid you not. And I don't know what this thing is. Mi amor, ¿cuál es el nombre de la nueva fruta? Huh? Cainito. But it's unbelievably delicious. And it's got a soft inside. It's white. And there's these fruits here. Oh my God. And they're growing everywhere. Like, you don't even have to plant trees. You just go for a walk, take a bag.
Well, that you shared the link of is it Zac Efron, that TV show where he goes around and tastes. Yeah. They mentioned in that the reason why some of the food and the fruit can't actually be transported because it rots really quick or something. So it's very local based fruit, where it's basically like, the Garden of Eden, where it's like you have 33 flavors of fruit. This tastes like coffee. Do you have something in mint? Oh, all right, yeah.
Actually, I do have mint growing on my land. We make fresh mint tea. So it's pretty easy to grow stuff here, right? It's like you just drop a seed, it grows. And so I'm pretty happy with that. But there's a lot of mature fruit trees up here. You just have to, And then I got brothers-in-laws that got, I got one brother-in-law. He's got like, 10 hectares, 26 acres of bananas. So that's the food stock for our pigs, right? And you create this ecosystem, and money really, honestly, in my family, people only need money to get liquored up. That's it. Or maybe repair a vehicle. Other than that, and the way, when you grow up in that, the way it affects your consciousness is amazing. Because I get $1,000. Okay, I'm going to save this till next month, or they get $1,000. It's like 48 hours they'll spend it, because the idea of not preserving things, it's a whole thing down at the tropics. They never had to deal with winter, right? They never had to deal with the fall harvest and getting through 4 or 5 months and stuff like that. So it's mañana, mañana, mañana. But I'm trying to change that, bring a little corporate discipline. Not corporate, that's maybe not the right word, but community discipline to this pueblo. Get some industry going. Simple industry.
Yeah. You store for the winter type stuff.
Well, there's
no winter, obviously, but it's the
just having a longer term agenda instead of blowing through everything.
Yeah. And pay it forward. When you get paid on a big harvest, plant 5 more hectares. Don't go buy a new Subaru. So
the great journey to getting people to just see the agenda. It's hard enough here in the United States, let alone a bunch of indigenous people on a pueblo in a mountain.
Yeah.
It's totally different. It's Republicans and Democrats with a pueblo. It's all the same thing, trying to get them to get a bigger agenda.
Yeah. See Bruce walking the hills. Now everyone, there's a small group of people trying to take over the planet. Yeah.
They kind of know in their own way. They just call it the government.
Yeah.
Right. And antipathy. It's a love-hate relationship between Latin Americans and government. It's really quite something to see. If they love you wholeheartedly, and if they hate you, you better get out of office quick. Get out of town. Go stay in Mexico City like the Ecuadorian president for a few months.
Good times.
Yeah.
I suppose. Yeah, I like my a lot of music a lot of metal bands actually have been touring South America. So this is doable. Metallica always end up in Mexico City and plays 8 shows in a row. So it's possible. Mind you, I'm stuck in Australia. And we're special, so special.
Yes,
like we still argue over our national day. So it's Invasion Day, it's Australia Day, and it's across the board. A lot of white people are screaming about the Aboriginals, like you hurt them, and a lot of Aboriginals like shut up, we're all Australians, move on. And it's that gaping wound that needs to be healed, so we could all move on forward. But I think that's part of the global narrative, is to have that thorn in the side, just to have that anxiety loop going on, because you don't want people working together and move forward. That won't work.
How long does this go on before we get a new plan? We get our new circuitry, and we can all fit into the societal circuit board, and we know how much we can spend on carrots every month, and how much we can spend on whiskey, and whether you can afford to be married or
years or reincarnations. How do you?
No, I mean, I was thinking more in the framework of Biden and Trump. How long till it all just gets ironed out, and this, people are working, or
irons aren't going to get these wrinkles out. And I will use the metaphor I've used before. When the election happened, that ended season 2, and the election, the ratings were so bad, they decided to skip season 3 and start season 4 on January 20th, and they have funding till season 6.
Wow, I haven't been
season 4.
Okay. I haven't been this outraged since they let Charlie Sheen go from 2.5 Men.
Right, and the whole thing is and there's the whole thing is kick the can down the road for 4 more years, which is do nothing, allow people to chew on themselves and get deeper into divisiveness, deeper into their own self-fractalization, because that is the best way to farm the community.
Yeah,
it's that, like the Cold War aspect. They didn't want a war; they just wanted the threat of a war, and that will just feed the fear engine of like
the loosh machine. The loosh machine.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
do
you,
like
you and I
what
make a joke that on the day of the election, how much loosh went off world. It's still going off world
Yeah.
by the truckload.
oh yeah. That's the best thing. Yeah, I try and explain on my show where, okay, if we're an energy I have to set it up this way to try and get people into the idea. If you're like, it's, the New World Order will never actually evolve. The threat of the New Order will always be there, because if you want to cull the popular your herd by 85%, that's bad business. It doesn't make sense, and so you just need to have that perpetual anxiety loop which feeds the loosh, because it's if when you lean back on a chair and you're just at that tipping point, if you live like that, it's just full of adrenaline. Either fall over or sit forward. But if you're right on that point where you catch yourself, that energy just feeds and everything else like that.
So somebody in the chat room asked, what would a loosh machine look like?
Look in the mirror.
Like kind of like a giant Slurpee with the straw going into space. The 32-ouncer.
Yep.
Thank you. Come again.
Would you like a donut with that?
It comes in many flavors.
Have you tried this Taiwanese flavor? The Chinese just tried to invade again. It's really got this richness.
Yes.
Yes.
Here's your social justice warrior Slurpee.
Have you tried the Cortez? Oh, very unique.
Yes. Here's your right-wing Trumper. He's a little spicy.
Even talking about ridiculous in comedy, they got rid of Apu because one person said it was offensive to the Indians. And it's like, well, as someone that is basically older than Homer Simpson, you have to get rid of Homer because he's offensive. He's a big, fat, balding idiot. And that's basically your average American or Australian. This is the level of the whole show is basically stereotypes, and they crush under pressure because Apu is offensive to native Indians or actual, from the subcontinent of India. The irony is he became an American citizen. He is a business owner. He's successful. He's happily married, and he's raising 8 kids. So obviously that's offensive, right? Like he's a success.
And he's got good lines.
Oh yeah. Why? No, Mr. Homer, don't do that.
Exactly.
So, it's not the classic he's dumb and put down or anything else like that. It's other races call Indians Apu, and they think it's offensive, which is really weird because Apu's awesome. And it's not, we don't hate Apu and we don't put him down. He's rather intelligent too. He's got great lines. And are we there yet? Are we there? Wait a minute. Yes, we are. Like where he has to go to the. Yeah. I like Apu, and that's my thing.
Are you really the head of Quickie Mart?
Yes, I am. Really? Yes. Thank you for coming.
So, I was just scrolling through my Twitter there. Is this impeachment still going forward of Trump?
Yep.
What the hell? What possible benefit could there be other than he can't run for public office again?
That's it. They're scared of him.
No. This is to save Joe Biden because all the news agencies are losing ratings left and right. Joe Biden is guaranteed to be a lame duck president. They're rushing it through because it forces the Republicans to deal with the Democrats instead of the last 12 years of do nothing. There is a political maneuver behind this. Secondly, we've had a tremendous amount of Republican donors who have pulled out their money. Okay? And the money is there to get Trump because Trump pardoned a whole bunch of people. One guy had 830 years of jail time, and some radically terrible white collar criminal. They pardoned a guy with 830 years of jail time. So they're forcing this to go through, and it is also forcing the Republican Party to reform internally. That's why it's being done.
Okay.
Like just yesterday, Marjorie Taylor Greene, the QAnon congresswoman,
Mhm.
for the last week, she says, I support everything I said, blah, 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 blah. And then she suddenly went and spoke to Congress. I don't believe in any QAnon stuff. I never believed any of that. 9/11 wasn't a lie. And they still removed her from all the committees that she was on. And they're probably going to end up putting her in the ethics committee and kicking her out. And that
Yeah,
right there is a very big significance for corporate senators and congressmen.
yeah. Monty, why didn't we figure Trump out earlier? I mean, he should have wrapped up 9/11 within the first 6 months of his first year if he was set to
But that's
take.
that's the big Trump lie.
Yeah, and there will be too much change. See, we're at a point energetically, and there's a massive dam, and if the right bit of information cracks through, the whole thing could actually just collapse. And so, I mean, lock her up.
They didn't lock her up.
Clinton should be. I mean, Clinton. That's the thing. That's part of the whole Trump thing. Even like Trump being Trump, that's woken people up. Awakened. I'm not saying woke. Awakened people up because, he was still like he was. Dare I say, he was like the Obama for the Republicans.
He was just a clickbaiter.
Yeah,
his terms were clickbait, never follow through.
Yeah.
Obama was the same thing. It was
Yeah.
just hopey changey clickbait.
Yeah. And so Obama woke up a lot of people because of him doing nothing. And then Trump started doing stuff. If you notice, like in the first 6 or 7 weeks of him being president, he was like keeping all these political promises. And then someone had a chat with him and everything changed. I don't know where it was, but it was like, oh, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this.
I think it was his first assassination scare.
Yeah, something like but something, yeah. Like as Bill Hicks points out, you have that talk after you become president. You go into a basement somewhere, and there's 12 men all having cigars. Like roll the film, and it's a different angle of the JFK assassination.
Or in Trump's case, it was the P tape.
Yeah. Any questions? Yeah. Just what's my agenda? But in the bigger scheme of things, Trump was there to wake people up. Even him failing, it's like, well, no one, Trump's not a savior. He's still part of the system. The system is so corrupt that it needs to be changed. And so it's like,
see, Monty, you need to make that into a speech because it's so brilliant the way you put it. But if you put it in a far more speechy type format, what you're going to try to get across is so right. He was never the savior. He was just another figurehead in the movement that created catalysm.
Yeah. In the big, and that's why I think Biden coming in is the next act, not a 3-structure act, but he's the next act because. The narrative is, we have to change everything that Trump was doing, including the good bits. And
it's the next act, and Biden's not the fat lady. Okay?
No.
Okay? But it's just another act in a 10-act play.
Yeah, I mean, you thought The Ring by Wagner was long.
Yeah.
No. If no one knows what that is, it's a 20-hour opera. It takes 4 days to actually play out.
Yeah, I actually have it on my computer here.
I haven't listened to it all because that's an investment, and also it's Wagner. It's like that's heavy metal classical music.
It is, but I've always been partial to Wagner and Mahler. I don't know why. I'm not classically read. I don't read music. I just knows what I likes.
You don't want to invade a neighboring country?
No.
Oh, all right, okay.
But sometimes when I go out on my helicopter, I play Wagner. Scares the hell out of the locals.
So I want to touch on what Bruce said before and about what comes next. It's kick the can down the road. Now I want to go into the future a little bit. I want to talk about June, July, August this year. And I want everybody to use your non-psychic skill of what politics is, was, and could possibly be, because you don't need to be psychic to understand politics. What do you think we're going to see in the month of June, July, and August? And anybody that's in the chat room or listening on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch, go ahead and whatever chat room that you're in and type in, what do you think is going to happen in June, July, and August there? Separate if you're a Trump tardian, we already know what you're going to say. Okay? But if you are a normal person... what's going to happen in June, July, and August?
Well, if I may, my very short answer to that, not politically, but I went onto the ABC, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation website, because they're rolling out the vaccine here in Australia starting in about 2 weeks or something like that. Because of who I am in the demographic, not because I'm a C-grade celebrity, I'm just a healthy adult that's in the mix. I could be offered the vaccine between July and September this year. And so, yeah, if the vaccine goes sour, I'm fine because I won't have it. I've got another, I could up to 6 months from now, I could have the vaccine. So by then, we should have found out if the vaccine's crap or not.
So now
but politically, who knows? Like, what's happened? Because COVID's political and not health wise. Who knows what's going to happen with it? Because if one story is the vaccine's just going to cause more COVID because it's badly made. Anyway, Bruce.
So I just want to go back to that corruption riff we did about 15 minutes ago. So one of the beauties of living in a place like this is I can go back in a year and visit my parents with all my vaccine papers, but without ever getting vaccinated, and that'll cost me about $100.
Bummer.
I've already made some inquiries, and yeah, how much would it take for Dr. Mendez to say I got the vaccine?
Well, that's the thing that they want a vaccine passport now, and people are slowly going, well, no, that's civil liberties and everything else like that. And I love the anti-vaxxer argument. It's like, well, if everyone else is vaccinated, why do I need to be vaccinated? Oh, but because you're saying your vaccine doesn't work, and they're actually saying that, like, you have the vaccine, but you still have to wear masks and social distance. Then why have the fucking vaccine in the first place?
So here's an interesting thing, and the people who have traveled widely and lived in other countries will immediately know what it is. I lost my thought already. What I was referring to, but what was I going to say again? I forgot. Sorry. Go ahead, guys. I lost it there, Monty. You went 3 seconds too long.
Yep.
It'll come back to me.
Yeah, that's how we lol, and that's the human brain for you. But it'd be interesting, like we were talking about passports and the vaccination and everything else like that. The interesting thing is in the media, they're even attacking people that's like, I don't know about this vaccine. Maybe we should do some more tests on it. Oh, you're an anti-vaxxer. No, an anti-vaxxer just doesn't want any vaccines because there's no germ theory. That's all fake, and vaccines are bad. If you're actually I get called an anti-vaxxer because I want better or higher standards of safety in the vaccine. And one thing telling is that there's no culpability from the vaccine. That if anything goes wrong, they don't have to be prosecuted.
I remember.
Yeah.
So like when you travel, one of the things you pick up is exactly what Andrew was referring to, is the corruption. Now, if you come from a pristine country like Canada, which superficially is corruption-free, but it's very corrupt. When you come from the capital city where I was raised, Ottawa, I went to university in Toronto and everything, immediately this corruption sort of just immediately jumps out at you. So when I was getting ready to go to Taiwan in 1992, I read The Lonely Planet's Guide to Taiwan. And that was the book and the country that actually started the whole book series, Lonely Planet. The guy started in Taiwan and built that business, which is kind of cool. But he had this little factoid in there in 92. He said 60% of the economy is black market. And the government takes a 6% income tax. The roads are paved. They have high-speed electrical rail. Same thing down here. So what I'm saying is one of the things I think is going to creep into the highly structured first world and very disciplined, and we are disciplined people compared to most people of the Commonwealth, people coming off of that British route, right? We're the dolts who created the empire by standing straight in front of a metal slug that was guaranteed to hit us straight in the chest, but we didn't care because we had been trained to do that. The falling over came naturally, but we were trained to stand there. What you're going to see, I think, in Canada, and this is deviating a little bit from Andrew's original question about July and August. I'll try and give an answer to that in a moment, but you're going to see the black market rise up. right? And this is natural, and all mature economies have really, really robust black markets. India, China, Taiwan, South America, Central America. And we don't really have that in North America, or Australia, but it's coming. It's coming.
We do have black markets. They're called swap meets.
Yeah. Yeah. In the dark.
Now then there's the criminal black market, which is run by the variety of gangs and mafias, which isn't drug based. It's stolen property based. And then we have the secondary black market, which is stolen identities, stolen credit cards, which is an international black market.
Right. So when you think about, the financial pickle we're in, and you think about, government has to pay soldiers, they have to pay to maintain a police state. It's not cheap, right? And so a lot of things are going to go away in the over-regulated first world. You're not going to go to jail for buying a pint of pasteurized milk in 6 months. Whereas in Canada now, you might, right? It's illegal to sell pasteurized milk. So you're going to see all of this sort of like the way these institutions have gotten into our food supply, and small businesses, they're just going to start operating without any government oversight. Body shops, mechanics, and stuff like this. And the Karens and the Kens are going to be freaking out. But, people like me are going, oh, finally, we're catching up. Because the thing about corruption is if it's done well, it's actually more efficient. It's actually more efficient. Over.
Yeah, like in Australia, we're not corrupt, and so like you keep seeing it. Just even the police force during the 80s, New South Wales, and then you've got Queensland, and it's what I find interesting is there's still that belief of no, we're doing the right thing. It's like there's footage of you doing something. The corruption is there's an arrogance to it where they don't think they get caught, and so they're doing it openly. And still, the lie is that basically Trump did all these things, but it's that art of war thing. Accuse your adversary of what you're doing. And like the first time that Trump was impeached is because he made a phone call to the Ukraine, and it was basically that's what Biden did, and that Trump's call was about Biden, which is ironic.
So I'm gonna put Bruce. Are you finished? Did you want to finish what June, July, and August are going to be?
He's muted at this point in time.
Okay. Bruce, you got to unmute. He might be having to talk to someone.
To answer the question in chat, I'm a musician now. Not a good one, but I am a musician now. Or I am a good one, and I don't think I'm a good one, and I'm not. We'll get back to that.
Yeah, Bruce, there you go. You're unmuted.
Apologies. No, I just had to go check on some stuff on the stove there. I got a lot going on here, guys. Sorry. Okay. I missed the last 20 seconds.
So
what are the chances?
I was praising you, and yeah.
What are the chances that I would get called out the moment I go out to talk to my wife and decide whether I'm going to have pasta or a pig I harvested 3 weeks ago? And, and this is after 68 minutes. And in the 60-second window I took, I got nabbed. This is bad. I'm not buying any lottery tickets this week.
We're going to actually take a break here in just a second. I just want to say what I think is going to happen June, July, and August. We are going to see a major heat up in the drug war. Right now, there's a $30 million bounty out for the new Mexican drug cartel, the guy that took over for El Chapo. We're going to see the Sinaloa cartel, the Jalisco cartel, and the Knights Templar cartel be made the new enemy number one by the Biden administration. And they're going to be using COVID as a means of saying that COVID is being brought in by the drug cartel people, and that the drug cartel people are going to be using COVID as a threat to allow their drugs in. Now, one other thing I want to say is the 2008 economic scandal. If it wasn't for the cartel drug money, it would have been a worldwide, the cartel money laundering situation. All of the banks worldwide would have gone under. Okay?
Yeah.
So we have to understand the amount of money that's being laundering. Now, at the end of the first quarter of 2021 is when the new bankruptcy season starts. And we're going to see a massive tsunami wave of bankruptcies from the first quarter all the way to the third quarter this year. And there is where you're going to see corruption at its finest, the banks doing worse than what they did in 2008. And that's going to make it in the news in June and July and August. And it's going to be a battle of what they keep out of the news. And they're going to be using the cartels because they can't go back to war with Iran. They can't go back to the other stuff that didn't work. And it's going to be back to the drug war.
Oh, wow. That's kind of cool, actually.
What will happen with the people, though? Because if the general public, if they lose everything, they've got nothing to lose. And so I could see maybe not a revolution, but if people have been, if you've got, if the divide between poor and rich, if there's 1,000 rich and there's 30 million poor, something's going to snap because it's a first world country. It's can you see what I'm trying to get at? Because I can't formulate the right words. As people get poorer, there's going to be more crime, and then there's an element of corruption. But I mean, if the cartels want to become saviors to the people, they'll have enough money to help out communities and all that type of shit,
which they already do all throughout Mexico. What I'm saying is the cartels are going to start buying out people that are going bankrupt en masse and using them as drug stash houses. And it's going to make a major situation on the other side of the border because the cartels have to have a legitimate business for what? Laundering their cash. And that is why you're going to see the new drug war reignited, and they're going to try to make it a big thing, like almost capturing Bin Laden, okay, for the next drug. Now, not to mention, Mexico has been very quiet during the Trump administration, and yet we know there was some major, and I mean absolutely major, drug wars going on. And one situation, a Mexican special police force went in and captured this guy who was the son of the head drug lord. And they got surrounded by like 25,000, armed Sinaloan cartel members with, military grade weapons and grenade launchers. Okay. And they gave up. Yeah, you can have him back.
Yeah.
And the drugs, they'll sell a lot of drugs as well because people are in poverty and, or losing despair. And then, as an escape, they'll start doing drugs. And so in a way, it's like it could be a perfect storm.
Drug consumption has gone down in 2020 because there are not parties, there are not raves, your local bars where all the cocaine is mostly dealt through isn't there. Yes, there's an infrastructure to get it out there, but your street dealers are going broke now.
Yeah.
So they have to figure out the new marketing of how to get the drugs in the hands of the people in the lockdown.
Yeah.
So I will add one more thing. We're going to go on break here in a second because we've been talking a lot. So come July and August, as we have the ramp up of bankruptcies, ramp up of the stories of the banks doing stuff, is Biden going to put the banks in front of the Congress? And if it's for show or it has something real behind it. If it has something real behind it, 2021 will end on a positive note, which could mean that it won't be a lame duck presidency, but that will be determined by who are the backers of the Democratic Party at the time. And if the Republican donors come back to back Newsmax or back Fox, because we know that the two lawsuits that are filed against them is going to put one of them into bankruptcy receivership, no doubt about it.
Yeah. So the banking narrative, would they have a sacrificial lamb type of just to give the illusion, we'll get rid of Deutsche Bank or something, that level. They get rid of that so that it can appear to the populace that once again, that's kicking the can down. It's like Hillary Clinton gets arrested and that's it, instead of the 10,000 arrests or whatever, that. They give up one person, a sacrifice to give the illusion of look, we did something, and then the machine keeps going. Like Bernie Madoff, was he the only one from the whole 20
He wasn't a part of the. He wasn't part of the 2008 scam, though. He was arrested before that happened. Actually.
Oh, okay, but yeah, he seems to be the only one in financial things where $100 billion is like, oh yeah, well, get him, and his last name's Madoff.
The thing is, everyone on Wall Street, including the regulators, knew what he was doing. They all knew it.
Yeah. Which is the downside of corruption. At any point, you could be given up to be a sacrifice. Like, I'm going to watch The Big Short again because of what's happened in the last 2 weeks with GameStop, because it's a good movie.
So we have two major banks, Citadel Bank, it's been in the news, and Vanguard Capital. Now, people don't realize Citadel and Vanguard Capital are major entrepreneurs in the military industrial complex, and they have access to patents that should blow minds. Okay. If one of them gets the sacrificial lamb targeting, what happens to those patents?
Oops.
With that being said, let's do our breakdown. We've talked for an hour and 15 minutes straight. Robert, go ahead and put us on a 5-minute break, and we come back. We're going to jump into some more comedy stuff. Welcome back, everyone. Here we are. We're once again joined by Monty Dean and Bruce MacDonald, continuing our comedy show.
Yay! Stupid chat. There we go. So how was your break? My break was exciting.
Yes, took a pee and then having a smoke here real quick. So
Yeah.
Bruce was just asking me before about the drug thing, and recently I watched Narcos, the two Narcos things, but I had already been looking at what's going to happen June, July, and August because we have a great equinox and solstice coming in March and June. And what I do is I look forward. Robert, can you unmute Bruce? Can you look forward to the potential lines of future and seeing what the big hubbub's going to be in attempts to save the CFO's replacement job? As I said, the CFO, he's on shaky ground. He's really got an apparatus that's tuned for, whipping the lizard, lizards whipping the snake, whipping the cows.
Yeah.
And then
So
the amount of loose that's skimmed off the top by every corrupt society.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, Inner Earth has its own corruption, but you have to have that corruption in the right level. Where, like as Bruce was saying, in the East and South America, there's an acceptance because it's people know about it and it's not too harsh. You need that Goldilocks corruption. Just there's a little and then there's too much, but in the middle is perfect, which is but in the West, we're all law abiding and everyone has to follow the letter of the law, but then politicians constantly get caught doing illegal things where I think it's legal that members of Congress can actually use insider trading. And like Nancy Pelosi apparently bought $1.4 million of Tesla shares. And then 2 days later, Biden comes out and says, we're moving the US military to electrical cars.
Yeah, but it wasn't just Nancy Pelosi. It was just her
No.
that used. Every congressman and senator did that trade.
Yeah. But then they've put into the framework that they can do that and not get in trouble. And it's like,
but that's tit for tat news. And unfortunately, tit for tat news, it works. It riles people up.
Yeah.
So I want to add something. In June, the amount, as I said, the amount of bankruptcy is going to be really, 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 really bad. Worse than 2008, many-fold over. If the drug cartels do what I believe that they're going to do, and I believe that we're going to have a response, we're going to see a whole bunch of people from Trump-tanistan come back to nationalism and come back to patriotism. If so, that means kick the can down the road is really, really working. And it's one of the few ways that they can save patriots. Okay?
Yeah.
Save the patriot programming.
How does open borders and making all the undocumented citizens and that aspect? Because if you've got caravans of people coming up, I'm sure one or two of them may be part of a drug cartel, and
they're all a part of a drug cartel. Nothing crosses the border without the drug cartel telling you can.
Well, there you go.
Okay,
not even an aspirin.
Right, and right now the borders are technically closed. The Canadian physical border is closed. To get a truck across is extremely difficult. Okay, and the same thing with the Mexican side border, which cuts down all the mule traders, the ones that are hauling the drugs in via the mules. Okay, so drugs have to find a new way to enter, and I'm sure over the last years they figured out new creative ways and more tunnels to get it across, whatever it's going to be. But there's going to be a massive backdrop of drugs that are stored in houses that don't have normal places to sell them. Like example, like Burning Man should have sold 5 tons of cocaine. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That's not a sale for them. And then all the other summer festivals that didn't happen last year. Now, the majority of those festival promoters are out of business.
Yeah.
Like seriously, out of business. Yeah.
Yeah. The arts have taken it really in the arts, if you follow my drift, with the whole COVID thing, because it's all about, electronically, but it's live performance, festivals, bands,
Mhm.
And if you're just a working musician, which you only get a certain amount, the venues aren't there because it keeps changing as well. Like if one case of COVID pops up in Victoria, venue sizes drop by 50%. And sometimes it's not viable to actually have a band go on, because instead of say 800 people, you're going to have 100 or 50 people in the room, unless tickets go through the roof. And so the arts across the board, especially here in Australia, is collapsing because there's no work, because it's all society based.
Somebody in the chat room was asking is when the festival's going to come back. Majority of them won't ever come back. The new promoters will have to start from scratch, and the whole groundswell of new people have to create them. You may see a counter rebellion of people just going into random national parks and trying to make a rave out of nowhere, but they're going to get shut down.
Well, you have to get rid of the COVID. COVID's the problem there.
Wow.
That's because of at lockdowns, as Andrew has predicted, the second half of 23. But is this the type of virus that we have to live with, like measles or SARS or stuff like that?
We haven't even gotten into the nasty strains that are just being talked about in England right now and have spread everywhere else. The nasty strains are going to be the ones that start killing people who have taken the vaccine. Okay?
Oh, God.
Right now, we've only vaccinated, I believe, 8 million people. We were supposed to have 100 million people vaccinated by the 14th of December last year.
Yeah, well,
the black market for vaccines is ridiculous right now, and we'll be lucky if we get to 30 million people vaccinated by June. Lucky.
Interesting tidbit. Maynard, the lead singer of Tool,
he got COVID. Yeah,
twice. He got reinfected. So, was it a different strain?
It's very common. We saw this coming out of Wuhan. People that got it once got it again, and the second time they get it, it almost kills them, and that's what puts them on the ventilators.
Now, is that because it's a karmic resolution? Because it's very hard to try and talk to normal people about COVID. Oh, that's a karmic resolution, time traveling disease that has its own level of consciousness. What? So, but is it? Is that what we're seeing with the different strains? And because I know Andrew, you've mentioned that has it left? It's able to leave planet. Has it left planet?
Yes, it left our planet in February last year, and there's been a massive attempt to quarantine the louche, some of the tainted people who were scheduled to go. They're actually scheduled to go off world.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's places like in the 4,300 bases that are part of the human population process that are completely quarantined for any new humans to come in. They still may be trading with other species, but now what they're discovering is there are other species who have a completely different genetic journey to us, but they're getting COVID. And what the COVID is doing to them is inserting a human gene into them.
Geez, that Prime Creator's a bit of a prick, isn't he?
Yes.
Bink.
So it's transmitted via the light body.
Ow.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like a light body venereal disease.
Wow.
Yeah, come to Earth, they said. It'll be fun, they said. You may get a vaccine. Yeah. So I'm finding... So, we've got the boffins here on Earth, and obviously in other parts of the galaxies, they're trying to deal with it as well. But I guess it's from a different perspective. If it's a time-traveling light body venereal disease, yeah.
Well, again, its whole purpose is anybody that was involved with the time travel wars in any way, shape, or form and hasn't resolved its karma through karmic debt vehicles, you will get this virus. You may spread it. You may not even know you have it. You may die from it. You may survive from it. But whatever happens to you from it is your resolution to that time travel karma.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Now let's think galactic / universe. Is this a prelude to something massive?
Yes. Human DNA change afterwards.
Right.
But that human DNA change has to have self-mastery as a major part of it, or a tremendous of people simply just go back to sleep.
Yeah.
So will the self-mastery, would that actually instigate the change. Does that make sense? Like, you get to a certain point and then there's the change. Like, the change won't be natural. Like, because if it's the mastery is part of a key element of the change, I'm thinking that there's a choice if you're in mastery, if you go back to sleep. So, you know what I mean? Like, is it going to be...
So the answer is you're right. But just to clarify some of the concepts behind it, self-mastery is a journey you had to begin before COVID. Now, there are many people who are going to get COVID or get scared enough to begin self-mastery, but they're still going to be way behind the curve in self-mastery. Now, there are many ways to master self-mastery fast through dedication, commitment, courage. And there are many ways to leapfrog ahead of the pack of conformists that are around you. But inevitably, if you're looking too vertical in your changes and not exploring the lateral sides and the horizontal, you will lose a major part of the journey. And that's why self-mastery had to be started early.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And one other little thing about when it comes to COVID, the time-traveling disease, it's just begun. Okay, it has just begun. It's a matter, are they going to ramp up the fear and say we really don't know anything about it, or they're going to attempt to introduce a high level of technology and pawn it off as normal technology? Okay, like what Trump got COVID and he got the super experimental Regeneron. Okay, what he actually got was a very powerful stem cell treatment.
Yeah, 3 days. He in 3 days. So
yeah.
So in Roman numeral time, what numbers are we looking at
for COVID?
Yeah.
Well, it all depends on how they promote the fear, because the fear actually makes the virus spread faster. This is why the anti-masker debate and anti-vaxxer debate is detrimental to the globalist journey here. Okay,
and the Amish aren't really dealing with COVID that much. And there's a meme like, why aren't you dealing with COVID? We don't have a television.
Exactly.
So I mean,
maybe it's because we don't use power tools and we resolved our time travel karma already. We were living naturally on the land.
little things like so. Yeah, when I asked like what in Roman numeral time, I'm sure there's 17 answers. So there's not one because of potentiality. Well, 23, that's at least another 2-3 years minimum.
Well, no, 2023 is when lockdown. So I said lockdown will go to that point. All right. That doesn't mean COVID isn't around.
Yeah.
All right. And then lockdown, and then COVID passports, et cetera, et cetera. It's can they slip in a off-world technology and say it's not off-world technology?
Now, okay. Well, I've got one personal question. Is this because I didn't send off an email that said if I send it to 12 people that I'll be very lucky?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I thought that was me.
It's all your fault. COVID is all you. Take all the blame.
See how powerful everyone is, ladies and gentlemen. That's the power. That's what they're scared of us. It's just one email and I fuck the timeline again.
Exactly. Fuck the timeline.
That's a nice timeline you got there. Would be a shame if someone fucked it again. Yeah.
Is that a new timeline you're in your pants, or you just got COVID?
So can't wait to have that chat with the Prime Creator. Ironically, which is me.
You walked up to the Prime Creator and go, "I want to see your manager."
You are my manager.
Thank you. Shit. Come again.
Exactly.
We're closing the store for cleaning. Get out.
So I want to touch on the Karens and Kens for a minute. As we had the great Trumpistanian purge from the social media, where did all the Karens and Kens go? What happened to Karens and Kens?
I don't know. I think they all moved to Saskatchewan and they don't have internet yet.
No, they're fighting with their husband or arguing with their cats now.
Yeah.
Because they're attempting to be on Parler or any of those other things, and they're in their own echo chamber. But The great Trumpistanian purge of the Karens and Keds was the greatest thing that happened to my Facebook.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, I just find the
Well,
whole anti-mask thing. It's like you're both against free will. Like,
Exactly.
just like fuck off. If I'd rather not wear a mask, but it actually defends me from a $200 fine, so I can see an upside to it. But I don't go around and say, if I see people without a mask, I don't go, "You're killing people." I'm not that that low level stupid. Because if you're social distancing, what's the problem here? But the whole thing about anti-mask is, oh, you're wearing a mask, you're a sheep, you're a slave, blah blah blah. I'm like, you have a birth certificate. Shut the fuck up. You're a slave already. And also, it comes down to free will. That's where my whole thing about masks is like, if anyone wants to wear a mask and leaves you alone, leave them alone.
Yes, they call it Karens. There they are. Yeah.
So that's my stance on the whole anti-mask or mask. It's down to free will. I rather wear it as optional. But this is the problem. It's government saying it. Like I think here in Victoria, they've extended the state of emergency till December. So that's nearly. I mean, we're coming up to the anniversary of the 14 days to flatten the curve.
The 1 year anniversary, yes.
Yeah. So that makes governments look good. 14 days, just 2 weeks. It will just be 2 weeks. You said that a year ago.
And that's what I said a year ago. 2 more weeks, 2 more weeks, 2 more weeks, and 2 more weeks.
How to kick a can down the road now with Andrew and Monty and Bruce.
And now that I'm done gloating about it, they're going to kick the can down the road a lot more times, well into 2023. And what I want to say about 2021, it obviously looked at 2020 and said, "Hold my beer."
Okay? I said that from
2021. It's taking his jacket off now. He's down to his wife beater T-shirt. Okay,
he's stretching.
And he's stretching, and he's about to go do something stupid.
The Donnybrook is on.
Yes, he's getting on the ATV.
Yes.
I don't know if you've ever punched a gorilla, but it's an interesting experience. Let me show you how.
The interesting part is we 4 years under 4 years of Trump, rebellion, civil war, rebellion, civil war, rebellion, civil war. I don't see anybody out with guns. Do you?
No.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, when Hillary actually said, "Oh, you use Australians," they're politicians in Australia, ladies and gentlemen. It's scary. Like when Hillary Clinton said, "We are the resistance," I'm like, "Fucking what?" How can Hillary Clinton be the resistance? And Antifa and BLM and Apple, big tech corporations, we're the resistance. I don't think you understand when the establishment is backing you and you're the resistance, you're not the resistance. Alex Jones is the resistance. We are the resistance.
So this time last year, I remember, in May last year, you and I were talking about how all of our conspiracy theories came true.
Mm-hmm.
And what conspiracies do we have left now?
Blue chickens. Apart from what came out of Q.
No, it's not just Q. Anything.
Yeah.
Anything. Any of the conspiracies.
Well, Trump and the military are going to save America, and that's going to help in Jassara and Nassara and Basara and Fasara.
Yeah, but those are all psyops. They don't count.
Yeah, I know. I'm doing. You ask a question, and my paragraph answer. I'm going to lead. I'll cut it down. We'll go into 5D because we exist, which eventually happens, but it's not going to happen this year. That's what I find fascinating, which I jokingly say when people wake up and then they find your material and realize that just waking up to you're asleep in the 3D is not the end. It's just the beginning. Because it can go way.
I want to thank Alan in the chat room. Humanity's on the brink of having no conspiracies to talk about. Bring out the drug cartels.
Well, even the alien invasion thing didn't pick up steam because I think there's too many aliens around. Where I jokingly say,
Trump put up the wall that stopped all the aliens.
Well, I saw what happens to Space Force now. Trump's gone. They'll still keep it.
I bet you they defund it.
Yeah. Because that's how that's the level of stupidity that the Democrats have, where the Pentagon lost $6 trillion again. Come on, how big is the couch of the Pentagon that the money keeps falling down the back?
Did you see that poor bastard ask the Space Force question at the press conference at the White House with that ginger Mark Zuckerberg, who's Biden's press secretary?
No, I didn't.
Oh, she just said it was really sarcastic. She went, yeah, the Space Force. But I can't really do it, but it was just completely and utterly sarcastic. So I would agree that they're getting ready to get rid of it.
But let's circle back to that, shall we? Like, she's one of the worst press secretaries ever, where she looks like Raggedy Ann compared to the last one who looked like Barbie. I've seen that comparison. But
or Trump's first press secretary, the guy that yelled at everyone, he was funny.
Yeah, I see. A lot of people are saying they miss Trump, even though he said mean things on Twitter. At least there was some excitement there. It's like Biden looks like he's about to have a heart attack, or he's had a stroke already and has no idea where he is.
Yeah,
even he's still like. Remember that time he actually started? He's trying to pick a fight with a construction worker on the campaign. It's like. Not the smart. He's a
the whole Joe the plumber guy. Yes.
Yeah, and he's with all his mates. He's got backup. The Secret Service won't do anything. And here's a question now. Robin Williams jokingly said that George Bush Jr.'s code name was Gilligan. What was Trump's code name, and what's Biden's code name?
I'm pretty sure Trump was Eagle One.
No, yeah.
I don't know what Biden. Well, I'll be Googled. It's probably put Googled now, unless Wano Savian is saying he's got no name. What is
Badger?
Badger. Yeah, Greyhound.
There was a long discussion with the Secret Service about ripping off Breaking Bad, but they went with Badger.
All right. Because I could, Trump could be Emperor King. It's a bit long. Spanky. Yeah, and I think
Trump's was Mogul. Sorry.
Oh, that makes sense.
Biden is Celtic.
Oh,
and Harris's code name is Pioneer. Yeah, Biden is Celtic and Harris is Pioneer.
Wow.
I like Mogul because he's either it's a financial thing or a large snowy bump on the side of a hill,
or he's one of the Mongol hordes. Mogul is one of the Mongolian hordes.
Yeah.
Language correction. That is in fact a Mongol. A Mogul is a Pakistani warlord trying to dominate northern India.
I'm sorry, Pakistani.
Yeah.
You think Trump realized that he was a Pakistani warlord? They called him that? Nope.
It's a good handle, Mogul.
Yes. Oh God.
Celtic. Well, Biden does look like a ghost.
So Bruce, did you see the actual inauguration, or when the night of the invasion of the Congress, when Pence was given the coin, the special coin?
I didn't see the special coin. I saw everything else. I mean, I was on the radio covering it live with Jimmy Jean, and I mean, I'm telling you, my first thought when I saw that was, I went, "Where's Wild Bill? This is Gangs of New York. Here come the dead rabbits." It was just insane. But I didn't see. Oh, I heard about it. The coin that was Pence passing him the coin, right?
No, he was given the
Given,
coin, and
yeah.
it was around about 3:44 in the morning. Because I actually saw it live. They finally certified the things. There was clapping and big stroking of genitals, and then Pence walked off to his right, and someone shook his hand, and that's when he was given the coin. And you can see Pence looking at his hand and coin, and then closing his hand. And that's
Yep.
when Andrew said he was. It's either a payoff or an activation, but it was like
an activation of the secret society of the Knights of Columbus.
Yeah,
That's
but because it was he completed the ritual of the votes going through. Yeah.
One side of the coin had a Medusa's head, another side had a gladiatorial warlord on it.
Wow.
And that's on camera, so you could see him being not that you can't see the coin in detail, but
here's a question, and pardon the naivety of it, but
right then his internet goes dead.
So like part of the native, it was like, have you watched this show? I ask stupid questions all the time. But he dropped out, I think.
Yeah.
I'm here.
There we go.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So why don't they care anymore how much we know? I mean, they must know, right, that there's a growing number of the population that, are becoming increasingly aware that things are not what they seem. They don't seem to care. Is it hubris? Is it the blindness of hubris?
Yes, absolutely it is. But they also have a special rule. They must be, all the things that they do must be blatantly in the open. And they've been blatantly in the open for so long that the arrogance and hubris has gone to the next level. Example, when they did the Super Bowl and Madonna came out dressed as ISIS. Does it get any more in your face than that? Okay. And there's always going to be people that just don't believe it.
The last inauguration, I mean, Lady Gaga was dressed as the Dragon Queen from the Hunger Games there.
Mm-hmm.
They just kind of like to rub it like right in your face, plebes.
Yeah, because they've got that thing of they've got away with it so much where their arrogance thinks that everyone is completely dumb, useless eater, and we can do anything. The problem is they're more exposed now over the last year. That's the part of the COVID, the gift that keeps on giving. There's been an awakening for a lot of people because they weren't distracted by their jobs where, I'll watch this documentary about the Galactic Historian and stuff like that. And it's also just the pattern recognition where the blatant lies that Biden. That's now I can understand the Celtic reference. Welcome to Biden. Just the even like AOC where the blatant lies and what I call the democratic delusion that they're in. It's so weird where you had patriots storming the Capitol or walking in between the velvet ropes, who believe in the Constitution, and then you have the Democrats inside the chamber saying we're upholding the Constitution. It's the same thing with the English and the French fighting each other because they've got God on their side.
Yeah. I made up my mind that in 2021, I'm not going to have any more sides or any more enemies. I'm just going to gauge people by, stages or volumes of delusion. Are you left or right? Yeah. I mean, it's just, you're 80% deluded. You're 100% deluded. But we're nothing alike. Yeah, there's a 20% difference between the two of you.
Yeah, it's not really, you've got wings, but they curl in, so it looks like a horseshoe. So you've got the left wing, the right wing, and then at the tips, you've got the area that I call extremism. You're both fuckheads.
Yeah. So this is going to be an ugly year. It's just going to be it's going to be sad, to watch people go through this. People who can't detach themselves from the system and or don't have the creativity. Creativity is going to be a big thing right now. So all the Kens and Karens who went up to the master's level and working at high level civil service jobs. I mean, they're going to be desperate when this system kind of goes away. And I think what's going to happen now, just to show, you see, each side takes certain liberties, okay? And so when the Democrats were in opposition, everybody unified with them over their hate of Trump and, and really what he represented, which was, it's hard to dispute that a guy's materialistic when he has a gold shitter in his penthouse, right? So, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with a gold shitter. If somebody offered me one tomorrow, I would take that toilet, absolutely. But now I think what we're going to see is that the Democrats, like Harris and Biden, they're going to start grinding up their own people, right? Like how much longer can they continue to pay full-time salaries and benefits to state and federal civil servants going into year 2 of the COVID, when all entrepreneurs, all self-employed people, all people in private industry, including a lot of construction sites, have been shut down, but they're allowed to, it's going to be, I just see this growing crab bucket where everybody just gets dragged down to the bottom.
Good way to put it. Growing crab bucket. Great way to put it. Good metaphor.
And then there's I had this realization yesterday of, because I'm a unique vibration signature in the universe. It's not that I'm alone. I'm more alone than lonely. Where it's very hard to connect with anyone else because it's like they've picked a side, and they've got their own type of thing. And I mean, I've got this show as well as the round table, but that's kind of it. Where aren't you scared that people record you? Well, most of the stuff that I would get arrested for is actually broadcast and it's archived on the internet. But it's that uniqueness frequency of like, I don't really have someone to talk to about this because family members just stare at me strangely.
Yeah. So here's a question. How many more decades or generations into the future will we be susceptible to political movements that push all the Abrahamic buttons, whether it's Jewish or Christian? I mean, leave Islam out of it. I got a feeling they have another like 600 years to go on that cycle. But I get the feeling Christianity and Judaic are falling away, right? They're falling. I mean, they're time delimited. They're like milk. They have an expiry date, right? And
unless you're the new milk that's coming out of Europe that doesn't have an expiration date and doesn't need to be refrigerated.
Are you speaking literally or adding?
Literally, yes. The new milk, the new process of milk that's coming out of Europe, it doesn't need to be refrigerated and it doesn't have an expiration date.
Oh, well, let's change my metaphor then to the fruits of Costa Rica that are not exported because they rot.
Right. So
take that.
To answer your question, if the Abrahamic religions get diluted anymore, the Islamic religion will go through a reformation. Absolutely, it will, because they two are constantly battling each other. They go hand in hand. Now, how long? Well, I could say another 15 years. But during that delusion time, a whole bunch of deluded semi-Christians will try to reform their religion and get smacked down by the Pope. And we're probably going to have another 2 popes in the next 12 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And that will determine how fractured it is.
You think I should get my application in? You think I have a chance?
I wouldn't want to join.
Well, I think I know enough about corruption to get into the College of Cardinals. I just need to know if I could springboard from there into the white smoke.
I don't know. I don't want. You can
goal.
try if you want. I'm
Here's
not.
Nobody Padre Spiritus et Dominus, amen.
In the name of corruption, I offer my devotion.
Well, the Latin countries are very popular at the moment at the Vatican, so you may have a shoe in there.
Well, if the Latin American churches separate from the Vatican, Vatican's done.
Oh, absolutely,
it's done. Yeah, they're the only thing that supports it right now.
They're real strong still, but the evangelicals have made huge headway in Costa Rica. I live right next door to an evangelical church. My wife goes every Thursday. They're lovely people. They're the nicest people on the mountain. But I was very surprised because when I first came here in 2001, there was none of that. Now we got Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, various forms of evangelical and all of this stuff. I said to my wife, why my father-in-law was Catholic. Why did you change religion? She's, well, that was idolatry. I just leave it alone, right? I mean, I don't want to get into that conversation, but that was my question. How long the Abrahamic flag can keep going into war? I mean, what's next? A he/she with a rubber dick at the under the cross and a flag? I mean, it either has to include everybody or it breaks apart, or
that's what I'm saying. It's got 10 to 12 years, and it'll bring down the Islamic faith at the same time.
Trump's
if one breaks down and reforms, the other one breaks down and reforms.
Okay. Trump and his people, their use of that Abrahamic energy in the collective unconscious, the spiritus mundi of America, that was Vegas professional poker level gamesmanship, man. That was brilliant, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he totally gamed all of them. Yeah,
from a Machiavellian perspective.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Which is aiding the breakdown of that whole concept. It's fractalizing and fractionalizing and factionalizing the already fractions and fractals of fractions inside those religions. Okay.
Yeah.
And as the old money dies off, and the children of the old money take over, new things will be done.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just want to give you guys an update. I went with both the pasta and the pork dinner.
Ooh.
Got a little hungry. Now, normally I eat one meal a day, right? I've been doing that for 3 months, but I have these, what I call flex days, depending what's on the grill. And then it's just like Florida buffet.
Mm-hmm.
You ever been to a Florida buffet, Monty?
Oh yes.
No.
He hasn't been. I have.
It's like watching hippos graze.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently the hippo is a very dangerous animal.
Oh, but if you get between its food, it is.
Yeah, or the young or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Fortunately,
well, guys, we're at the end of our 2 hours. This has been an absolutely fabulous show. So, Monty, you want to give away for people to get a hold of you?
Wafer Thin Entertainment on YouTube, and there's links to everything else to like that, which is on Twitter if you want to go into that minefield at Real Monty Dean, on Facebook Monty Dean, and also on Instagram at Monty.Dean, where I meme up a storm, and on Revolution Radio at 2 a.m. Wednesdays on Studio A. I have my Planet Collingwood roundtable, and Bruce usually pops in for the first hour and then continues on with his life. Most likely got to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And I can be seen at the local supermarket because I still get hungry. That's another question I'll bring up later, Andrew. It's like food. Why I did this yesterday. Come on.
Yes. Bruce, do you want to give a paper where people can find you on your show and stuff like that?
Yeah, I do a show Monday to Friday, 10 to 12 Eastern Standard Time, Studio A on Revolution Radio, MacDonald in the morning. If you like reading, I have some nice fiction and some really interesting recent nonfiction up on Amazon under Bruce MacDonald, MacDonald. The Scottish spelling, by the way, MC is Irish, MAC is Scottish. And that's about it.
All right.
And this has been a blast, guys. Thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome.
But I was told this is a comedy show. Can I tell a joke?
Sure.
Can I tell a joke?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, why did the chicken cross the road?
Why?
To get to the other side. To get to the other side.
What?
I just wanted to make sure I left with some humor.
Anyways, you guys know who I am. We will be back this coming Tuesday. I will be having another incredible live show with Martina Grubmuller, and then we will be back again this coming Thursday with David Ellis once again, talking spirituality and business. All right, everyone, we'll catch you next week.
See you guys.
Each different bubble of reality is true.
A galactic historian is a person that looks at all the lines of dramatic karma.
Nudge, nudge. It's the Holy Grail.
Improvise. Mysterious.
It's counter psychic intelligence.
Why is DNA farming of this star cluster so important?
Because we do manifest our reality. We do create our reality.